This video is going to cover how to make a mold for a rubber ducky. Or in this case, it's going to be half a rubber ducky. Let's roll it back and see just where we get started on this. Okay, so we have half a rubber ducky with a part of its butt cut out. I'm going to show first in this video how to make mold cavities of this using solid techniques, and then in a second video I'll show how to make mold cavities of this using a more proper and more complete surfacing techniques. We have the rubber ducky. We're assuming everything is drafted properly, although it's clear that it's not. There are a couple of places around here where it's going to drag coming out of the mold a little bit, and we'll just hope that we've got enough shrink on this material to get it past those parts. This is not about how to create a mold. A mold is a big, heavy piece of machinery. A mold cavity that we're going to create is just a couple of pieces of metal that you put inside the rest of the mold to form the plastic. We're going to do this first all in solids, and then in another video I'll show you how to do it for more complicated parts using surfaces. First we start off with the rubber ducky, and then we make a big extrude. Okay, so this extrude is essentially a mold cavity insert. And if you're going to make multiple cavities, you can still use this technique and then cut and trim the finished product to maybe pattern some mold cavities. But you can go and machine blocks like this individually. So what we've got here is we're going to make extensive use of the solid bodies folder. We've got our half a rubber ducky, which is still in there, and I'm going to change the color on the half a rubber ducky to we're going to make this red. Okay, and so you can see there's red in there, and then our block is going to be gray. And then I'm going to copy the rubber ducky, okay? And I'll make the copy of this, I'll make this orange. So it's kind of related to the red, and you'll know that it's related to the red. So we've got the main rubber ducky, the cavity block, and the copy of the rubber ducky. And now we're going to use a combine feature. This is just the Boolean, and what we've done is we've subtracted the rubber ducky from the block. And let's take a look at the terminology inside the feature. You use the subtract function. The main body is the main block, and the body to combine is the rubber ducky. Now that's kind of weird terminology because we want to combine it, but the type of combine is a subtract. Okay, so it seems a little odd. One of the implications of this function is that it consumes the rubber ducky. What that means is that when you're done, you don't have a rubber ducky left. Okay, the rubber ducky is gone. All you have is a cavity inside the block that looks like a rubber ducky. This is why we made a copy of the rubber ducky, because we're going to want that later on. Anyway, so now we've got a hole or a cavity in our block that's shaped like the rubber ducky. But remember, he had a chunk taken out of his ass here, so the metal there is still attached. So what I'm going to do is use this cut extrude to cut off that back section. Now this back section could be a slide that comes in from this direction, or it could be part of the block that's up here that we're going to make next. There's a lot of things that this block could be, but let's edit this. And as soon as I cut this away, it's actually going to create two bodies. Okay, so it's going to create whatever's inside the rubber ducky and then it's going to create whatever's outside the rubber ducky. And it's going to ask us which one we want to keep. And let's see if we get that when we, yes, here it is. Bodies to keep. You know, it doesn't do a very good job of color coding the answer here, but whatever you want to keep is going to turn blue. Body 1, body 2. So we want to get rid of the material inside the rubber ducky. We want to keep all the material outside the rubber ducky. So we'll say OK, and everything inside the rubber ducky drops away, and we're good. Okay, now we also want to make a copy of the gray block. So we'll do that here. Move copy body. You can find that under insert, either under insert features, move copy, or insert surface, move copy, which is off the screen for you right now. But in any case, that's where you find the move copy functions. Okay, next we want to make the core side of the insert here. So let's roll down one more step. And what I've done to create this is I just made a big block of material with the sketch here, and it completely engulfs the first block that we created, and it adds a little bit on the top. Okay, and just to give you an idea what this looks like while you're doing it, there's the sketch on the bottom, and it extrudes all the way through the original block plus a little bit extra. And how much material you have on each side of this, that's up to you as a mold designer. But I'm showing you how to create the cavity core geometry. Okay, so now we've got one block that encases everything and one side of the cavity which is correct. So now let's take a look at the final feature here, which is another combine. And what we've done with this is we use the subtract again, and we subtracted the first block and the copy of the rubber ducky. Because if we don't copy the rubber ducky, then the mold is just going to be face to face, or these cavities, cavity and core, are just going to go face to face. There's not going to be any gap in between to put the plastic. So we have to subtract both of those. And of course here we're assuming that the rubber ducky already has shrink calculated into it. You can get yourself in a fair bit of trouble if you don't get the shrink into it, or if you get the shrink into it and then put the face in the wrong place. You calculate the shrink from, say, the center of gravity, and then the face moves, and you're in trouble. So you got to be careful about all that. Also, another thing that I want to point out here is that sometimes if you just want to select the bodies, the best way to do that is to use the Flyout Feature Manager and use the Solid Bodies folder. Pick the solid bodies from the list. Now you can rename solid bodies in the tree, and if you've got colors assigned to stuff, that can help you assign things visually as well. So what I've done here is at the very end, I've got this combined. I've made that transparent so that I can see down inside, and I can see there's a gap in between this orange part and the green part. If I take this a step further, I will open a sketch on this back face, and I'll draw this sketch from corner to corner and extrude, and we'll just say, instead of blind, we'll just say through all, reverse direction. Okay, so this block will go through all of the existing blocks. Just follow me for the time. I made a mistake. Do you know what that mistake was? Did you see it as I made it? The mistake I made was I left merge result turned on. By doing that, it joined everything together into a single solid body. That's not what we want. So now we've got 3 solid bodies. Now I'll go back into Insert, Feature, Combine. The main body is this body that I just created. And the bodies to combine are these other 2. So I'm going to subtract the cavity and the core blocks from this big block. And what should I get? I should get my rubber ducky back. All right, then there's my rubber ducky. That's one of the ways you can test your mold to see if you've got it right. So here you have a 100% working with solids method for extracting cavity and core on very simple plastic parts. Hope you found this insightful.